a Nike employee or a former Nike employee who is making the rounds with a video that is now circulating the internet, talking about the situation involving Nike, Caitlin Clark, the slow play that they're doing, even doing so much to show how their stock is falling off the shelf. And let's talk about this video. You may have seen it by now. I'm going to show it to you again, but it's a former 15-year employee at Nike in the women's division, and
they brought her on board, then pushed her aside. Now, a former insider is revealing what could be the biggest mistake in sports business history. Caitlin Clark's sponsor isn't just letting her down, they're working against their own star player. And the real reason behind it? It's more shocking than you'd ever expect.
Such a big game for Caitlin, her returning to her alumni in Iowa and her hitting that massive logo 3, the logo 3 during the game, that some of her sponsors would want to show her support on social media, do any sort of marketing to uplift her and uplift their brand. And one who did do that was Gatorade. They tweeted a photo of her and they said, "Real home court advantage. Welcome back to Iowa, Caitlin Clark." Now, one of her lead sponsors that was noticeably quiet yesterday was Nike. And a lot of people were tweeting about this. They were wondering, why isn't Nike and Nike basketball, why are none of their accounts saying anything about this? Yes, it's a preseason game, but this is a huge day for Caitlin. She's returning to her.
Caitlin Clark didn't just play basketball, she changed the game. From breaking records in college to making history with her WNBA debut, every time she stepped on the court, it felt like a major event. Each shot she took grabbed headlines. Remember when she returned to Iowa? The energy in the arena was electric. That deep three-pointer from near midcourt? It sent shockwaves through the sports world. Moments like that are gold for sponsors, yet surprisingly, instead of jumping at the chance to promote her, most stayed silent.
Nike, we need to talk about Caitlin Clark. Let's you and me talk about Caitlin Clark since you refuse to talk about Caitlin Clark. I care deeply about you. I spent over a decade in your marketing organization. I spent several years trying to get into your organization. And it's been 3 years since I left your company. I'm just here as a friend. I care about you. I want to show you two different charts here. One, your stock price since 2021. It is down nearly 60%. Your executives and the people who are making these decisions, their stock options are worthless. Meanwhile, you have the single biggest needle mover in all of American sports since Michael Jordan, and you have somehow convinced yourself that you need to slow play this. Let me show you Google Trends search traffic for 4 female basketball players. There is one who only rivals Caitlin Clark, and that is Ain't Reese, and you do not have her. She is over.
One big-name brand, known worldwide for its sports legacy, stood out for all the wrong reasons. While Caitlin's highlights were everywhere, their official basketball and main social media accounts stayed completely silent. Fans quickly noticed and flooded the internet with questions and frustration. Why would this company, famous for leading sports endorsements, ignore its brightest new star right when she was making the biggest impact? This wasn't just a simple mistake, it was a serious warning sign. Then, a former insider from their women's division, someone with 15 years on the job, stepped forward with shocking information. This veteran didn't just speak up, she revealed a story so powerful it rattled both sneaker fans and top executives across the industry.
How in the world is Nike not going full on Caitlin Clark phenomenon? You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America that Caitlin Clark wants. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever.
What this former insider revealed was shocking. She described a troubling decline inside the company, pointing out that since 2021, the brand stock has dropped nearly 60%, making the executives' personal shares almost worthless. Her message was clear and urgent: they had to pay attention to Caitlin Clark. The accusation was bold: the brand was deliberately holding back on Clark, treating her like an afterthought instead of the once-in-a-generation talent she truly is.
A lot of conversation has been made around Caitlin Clark, her signature shoe, the Nike deal, and with how much Nike has been dragging their behind, which how much Nike has been moseying to the finish line when it comes to pushing the Caitlin Clark button, fans started speculating maybe this deal isn't as official as we thought it was. We get no signature shoe, no news of a shoe all season long. We get no merchandise all season long. We get no commercial all.
Her reported deal, an 8-year contract worth $28 million, seemed like a bargain for a player who's changed the game entirely. When you compare that to the rumored 9-figure deals other rising stars are getting, the difference is hard to ignore. But the biggest letdown? Despite talks and promises of a signature shoe and plenty of merchandise, nothing ever came to life.
Caitlin Clark's Nike deal might be the worst endorsement deal in the history of professional sports. You guys remember this billboard that was put up in Iowa? Well, that's one of the last times that Nike has done anything for Caitlin Clark. They promoted her more in college than they have at all the entirety of the WNBA season. She signed an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that also included her own signature shoe, which honestly, looking at it now, $28 million for 8 years is an absolute steal for this superstar, when a player like Wemby's Nike deal was rumored to be over $100 million. Caitlin has not only had an incredible rookie season, but she has also transformed the WNBA. She became
No iconic Clark 1 sneakers for the millions of young girls inspired by her. No special clothing line to celebrate her arrival. It felt like they gave her a small deal but never followed through. The brand that once built its empire on star athletes was now acting like someone afraid to commit. This huge mistake opened the door wide for a bold, hungry competitor ready to step in and take over.
She feels as though that this Nike deal has been racially motivated. She believes that there's a disparity in how Nike is prioritizing and rewarding athletes like Caitlin Clark. And it's just, she's saying that athletes like Caitlin Clark are getting the better deals compared to other athletes, especially women of color. She additionally expressed her frustration through social media in her podcast, The Reese Life, suggesting that Nike was not treating all WNBA players equal.
While the big brand seemed happy to keep Caitlin Clark under the radar, another giant in the sports world was watching closely. Then, when Clark's team showed even a hint of frustration with the first brand's lack of support, this rival moved fast, like a predator zeroing in on its target. They didn't just send a simple offer, they came with a full package, her own sneaker line, custom colors, and genuine respect. It wasn't just a few strategists, they brought a whole team ready to turn her into a star bigger than a sold-out stadium concert.
All season long, and it had people thinking to themselves, maybe this deal that we all thought was finished and signed and completed isn't as finished, signed, and completed as we thought, or maybe they're renegotiating. Maybe Caitlin Clark on her end pulled back the reins, said, "Whoa, let's revisit this clause that I said if this doesn't get done in this amount of time, we need to revisit that." People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call.
The difference couldn't be clearer. The well-known giant was barely moving forward, almost coasting to the finish line. Meanwhile, the hungry challenger was ready to lift the entire women's sports world, backed by big money and a clear plan. This wasn't just about a sneaker deal. It was about vision, respect, and the bold drive to pull off the deal of the century.
Nike has been having one horrible week in the media, bro. And what's crazy is that everything started off great. They put out a wonderful Super Bowl commercial. Everybody was for Nike. You want to know what Nike did? Shot themselves in their own foot, man. Everybody's weighing in on this situation. We know they put out the wonderful Caitlin Clark commercial over the last weekend in the Super Bowl. Then the very next day, they messed up, put out another commercial. Didn't even mention Caitlin Clark's name at all. And then just yesterday, they re-edited the damn commercial and did a voiceover over it. Like, my goodness. If I was Nike, I'd just be quiet right now.
But the story gets even more troubling. The former insider made a serious claim. The way this brand handles endorsements, especially with Caitlin Clark, might not just be bad management, but influenced by bias. She suggested the company favors certain athletes over others, pointing out a clear difference in how they treat white athletes like Clark compared to women of color.
Hey, sports reporters, let's talk about Caitlin Clark and Nike. All right, now, I got thinking about yesterday's event, and that's what it was. This was a sporting event we witnessed yesterday afternoon between the Fever and the Brazil national team. You want to know why Caitlin Clark games are different, haters? It's because her games are an actual event appointment television.
This tough claim was quietly backed up by another well-known WNBA player, Angel Reese. Even though she's had some brand attention, she openly shared her frustration on her podcast about the unequal treatment WNBA players receive. While Clark was breaking viewership records and selling out arenas, the brand seemed to focus mostly on Reese, often with awkward, edited photos that didn't show off her real skills on the court. Instead of strong, team-focused campaigns featuring Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and other rising stars, fans got oddly cropped pictures of Reese. It didn't feel like a smart marketing plan. It felt like a deliberate, even divisive move.
2 years. The Asia Wilson sneaker was reportedly kept a secret. 2 years. While last year Nike's being drugged through the coals because Asia Wilson doesn't have a sneaker, yet people are screaming for Caitlin Clark to have a sneaker. And then they make it seem like they change course and Asia Wilson's going to get a sneaker first. But 2 years, a 2-year lie. That's what happened yesterday in the unveiling of the Asia Wilson sneaker by Nike, which had...
Then things took a surprising turn for the worse. After a Super Bowl commercial that got a lot of praise, the brand quickly made a huge mistake. They released another ad, but this time, Caitlin Clark was nowhere to be seen. The reaction was fast and fierce. Fans, sports experts, and even experienced NBA players all jumped in, calling out the brand for ignoring her during such a big moment.
If I recall, I mean, I could swear I remember that. And because of that, largely a lot of players didn't like Caitlin Clark very much last year. They had to teach her a lesson by absolutely fouling the ever-loving shit out of her. But let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant. Powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, aka Rudy the Hammer. This is where we talk facts over feelings. To all you who are back again, I appreciate y'all. Please be sure to like the video, leave a comment. And for those of you who are new, please be sure to pound that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. Nike unveiled Asia Wilson sneaker.
So, what did the brand do? They quickly re-edited the commercial the very next day, slapping on a rushed voiceover just to mention Caitlin Clark's name. It was a desperate move that felt more like panic than a well-planned response. And to make things worse, right in the middle of the backlash, the brand announced a signature shoe for AJ Wilson, adding insult to injury.
You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever been made in the history of Nike. How are you burying Caitlin Clark inside of a garbage ad, Nike, where you claim that the reason why women's athletes aren't successful is because of misogyny? What? Do you know men watch more women's athletics than women do? If misogyny actually existed, no male sports fans would watch women's sports, and they would be even less popular than they already are. Most Caitlin Clark fans...
While AJ Wilson's signature shoe is well-deserved and exciting for him, its reveal came with a troubling backstory. The brand kept the shoe a secret for 2 years, a move critics call a 2-year lie. This only fueled suspicions that the company is purposely holding back, delaying product releases, and fumbling its top stars. It looked like a PR disaster, making the brand seem like a toddler playing favorites, completely out of touch with the fans they're supposed to serve. Right now, this brand's strategy feels less like smart planning and more like an identity crisis, a midlife meltdown in the sneaker world. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is lighting up arenas, breaking viewership records, and sending social media into a frenzy with every deep shot. But instead of backing her, the brand keeps spotlighting players whose biggest viral moments are about their outfits, not their skills. It's painfully out of touch. Clark isn't just a passing trend or a one-hit wonder. She's a cultural phenomenon, the clear future of the entire league. Treating her like a second choice is like asking the most devoted music fans to buy tickets to a generic concert instead of their idol's sold-out stadium tour. It's not just frustrating, it's personal. The brand is ignoring the very fans who keep the league alive. Clark's influence isn't a small detail on a marketing slide, it's the whole show. She's built her reputation and massive following despite this brand, not because of them. So the big question is, can this company recover from such major mistakes? Or is Clark's move to their rival already a sure thing? Imagine the shock if Clark signs with the competitor, the Three Stripes. The launch of the Clark One Fire Edition wouldn't just sell out, it would smash sales records in minutes. Fans would fight over every size, kids would wear them like treasures at school, and even grandmas would camp outside stores like it's the release of the original Air Jordans back in '96. This rival isn't stuck in the past. They bring sleek designs, top performance, and real innovation, not just recycling old styles. They'd give Clark her own division, let her rename it Clark Performance, and launch campaigns with behind-the-scenes videos